Welcome to Hindsight, the podcast, where bold stories and honest reflections meet real growth. I'm Lee Jones, your host, and every week I sit down with incredible people who turn life's turning points into powerful transformations. And if you're navigating change or chasing purpose, then you're in the right place. Hey, good morning, though. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we got in the background there?
This is my board. This is something that, and although it's messy, it's something that reminds me a lot of my position and my mission. Um, the scripture tells us that faith without works is dead, and God literally gave me the equation that faith, the scripture shows us that faith minus work equals dead. So in first of that, faith plus work, your belief plus your efforts plus your action plus your implementation breeds life to whatever it is you're working on. So if you believe in your business, if you do the work, right? You can't only expect it's gonna happen that life is going to be braid into your business, into your marriage, into your relationships, into your career. So it's something that I always keep up here to remind me to always stay focused. So
I definitely asked because I was on this I guess you would say professional development.
Mhm.
And one of the things that the guy said was get you a dry erase board.
I love dry.
And he said it for a specific reason. You have it for your specific reason. But the thing is, I guess it's a way to one visualize, have things up there, and then you can kind of go through your mind and write stuff down and erase it and put it up there and get it going. I like it.
Thanks, thanks. This just one of those things that came to me and it has stayed up there because I was like, I need to put it somewhere, but it's gonna stay up here till I figure out where I'm gonna put it.
I gotta find I guess I could put it on that wall, but I wouldn't be able to reach it. You can't see, obviously, but hey, so this is Hindsight, the podcast. But the reason why I want to start here is because we can talk about what it is that you do and how great you are at doing it, right? But it is hindsight. So we want to look at some of those things that happened to you, in the past. So not really things that happened to you, but decision points, you know, places where you had to make a choice, either this or that, maybe a place where you were struggling with something and how you overcame it. And then we'll talk about how great you are as well. But we want to look at our yester you from the perspective of our current self with a hope of charting a journey that our future self will be proud that you went on that journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. Sometimes I forget the whole purpose and I get so invested in what it is that you do. I'm like, that's amazing. Right. But I do want to definitely stay within the core of the show. And it, so just keep that in mind when I ask you some questions. All right. That's all. All right, so you ready to get going? I appreciate it. No, it's just nice having amazing people like yourself come on the show and share your experiences, share your hindsight, your historical moments, right? The things that make you who you are today. And the blessing is, we learn a lot of things. We all do. Sometimes we don't apply it, right? But the purpose, I believe, that we're all on this planet together is to learn from each other, to grow with each other, and to prosper, right? So that's how I see it. We obviously don't do that a lot of times, but I gotta believe, right? So
Absolutely.
all right, so let's get to it. Oh, it's a little cold out here in California. I'm
Really?
sniffling. Yeah, it's been a little chill. I'm not gonna complain because I'm actually in a desert-like area. And in
Oh,
a few months, it's going to be like 100 degrees plus for like a month
yes, you're
straight.
embracing this stint of coolness right now.
Yeah, exactly. I just got a little sinusy going on right now, but I'll take this today because in a few months it's going to be, yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, so here we go.
When you look back in hindsight, everything is 2020. In hindsight, we make mistakes, we're learning from it. In hindsight, yesterday and your tomorrow. In hindsight, is so much clearer now.
What if everything you needed to succeed was already inside you, but you were unknowingly blocking it? Would Dr. All right, here we go. We're gonna stop right here.
How do I
We're gonna
pronounce
stop right here
it?
because I need to know how to say your name properly. That should have been my first question, and you know it. That's why you laughing. All right, let me try first.
Okay, let's.
Because I'm gonna do French just because the thing is at the end. JaNee, JaNee,
Got
JaNee.
it right. You say name, but you said no. Listen, you get your water.
I get it wrong more than I get it right, so I'm happy today. we
Right.
going in the right.
All of the wrong. So JaNee is absolutely perfect, and Mobley is the last name.
Mobley, I would have got that wrong. So I'm glad you said that. Okay. Dr. JaNee Mobley is a transformational speaker, certified life coach, and the author of 40 Days to the Better You. Oh, this is amazing. Okay. Okay. And I'll tell you why this is amazing. Huh? What's that?
I'm enjoying this already. I love how you pause. I love this. Let's go.
Because I'm in the moment. Like, I don't want it to be, all robotic. And this is what, I'm in the moment. So when I see stuff, I'm like, oh, 40 days. And I'll tell you why, because I'm in the process of writing one. And,
Okay.
and it's about, it's like, it's not 40 days to a better you, but it's 30 days to get to know you. And that's not the title, but it's basically, you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. All right, we'll get into maybe we won't, but we may talk about it. She's the founder of Success and Wealth Institute, where she empowers purpose-driven people to overcome internal obstacles and rebuild a life of prosperity. And in this episode, hopefully, we'll explore the power of faith. No, we definitely will do that. Identity and what it truly takes to overcome self-sabotage and walk boldly in your purpose. Good morning. Where are you calling in from, Dr. JaNee?
In Albany, Georgia.
Ah.
Yeah, so you're far west.
Yeah, I'm all the way to the end of the west. Right on the shorelines. No. So how is it out in Albany, Georgia?
It's warming up. It actually it's gonna be probably 89 degrees today. Probably.
Now that's the kicker. So I talked about how cold it is. But what happens typically, and the clouds are not out, is that it's cold in the morning because it's in a desert-like area. So it's cold in the morning. I've walked my dog. I've gone out in the morning and walked my dog. It's 37 degrees. And in the afternoon, it's 87 degrees. Like that flux. And that's how you get sick, if you're not prepared. I've been here for a while, so I kind of get it. But crazy. Yeah.
Sounds like.
Still. I saw this one graphic. Someone had I don't know what to wear. And it was Californians. And they had all these coats and layers and stuff and trying to take it off because the temperatures just fluctuate so rapidly throughout the day. Yeah, it's fun though. I love Georgia. Where is Albany, Georgia? Is that north, south, east, west?
Southwest, Georgia.
South. Okay. Where's the base at?
Marine base or Air Force base? Marine base? Because there's a Marine base.
One in an Army base? Maybe not.
There is one in Columbus, Georgia.
Columbus. There you go. Is that close?
Yes, that's like maybe an hour away.
Oh yeah, it's close enough.
Probably not even an hour.
I like Georgia. I like it a lot, to be honest with you. And keeping it a buck. I remember going to this it's called the NIC? No. It's a sales conference, but it's really for like African American, black and brown people. Mm-hmm. And it was in Georgia, and felt good to be there.
Understood.
It felt good to be there because I'm in California. It's really diverse and it's cool. Like I like everywhere I'm at. But when I was there, you see so many black and brown people together, common purpose, trying to be better, trying to prosper, and no conflict. What the media puts out there is always some sort of incident. It was just a good moment. So I have fond feelings for Georgia, but at the same time, I don't want to live there. No. That's just me.
That's why they have planes. That's why they have planes and you can fly anywhere you want.
Yeah. I think that's why I don't like it, because of the airport. And that's stupid. It
Yeah.
had I've been stuck there a couple times.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
that's
big
how you
airport.
feel. That's totally fine.
Yeah. All right, so let's start. I said a word in the introduction.
Mhm.
Self-sabotage. So let's just start at the core. And what does self-sabotage look like, and why is it often so hard to recognize in ourselves? We jumping right into it.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm. All right. So sabotage, just look at sabotage by itself. So to sabotage anything means to destroy something. It means to take something that may have been great, something that may have been good, and in some ways discredit it, in some ways destroy it, in some ways tear it up, right? To take something that was great and make it horrible, right? So when we look at self, we look at the individual. So when a person sabotages themselves, they destroy themselves, right? They
Yeah.
discredit themselves. They put themselves down. They always look at all of the mistakes that they've made instead of the positive decisions that they've made, right? They ridicule themselves more than others do, in spite and despite the fact that they highlight more of what other people have said about them more than what they have said about themselves, right? Self
Mhm.
sabotage is more internal than it is external. And the sad thing is, when people look at them, a lot of people, not all people, but a lot of people, when they look at themselves and look within themselves, they see more of the negative than they do all of the positive.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It makes great sense. And for I can't speak for anybody. So for me, you try to I try to be seek out perfection. It's not
Mm,
saying that I'm a perfectionist. It's just that you kind of have an idea of what the perfect whatever it is looks like, at least in your head, right?
mhm,
Your vision of what that looks like. And you strive for it and you live within yourself so you understand all of the things that go wrong and you focus. I believe I focus on things that go wrong probably a little more heavily than I should.
mm. A lot of
And
people
to
challenge.
yeah, you know what I mean? And even at my work, so we have customers that work and all we hear are what's going wrong. But then you look at it and probably about 96, 97% of the things are going right.
Mhm.
But you hear about the wrong. And I think it's just natural, in human dynamic. What do you think about that?
Here's
To focus on that negative.
there's here's the thing. A lot of it is foundational. So when we think about going back to being a child, and I understand this is parenting because when I parent our children, I try to pivot that. So when you are a child, what happens? You do something great and it's like, yay, you did something great. And then you do something that's not so great and it's like, and there's a huge deal about
Yeah.
what was not so great more than there was about everything that you did was good. So foundationally, the foundation that you stand upon as a child has been more pointing out all of the negatives and the greats that you didn't do, that you did do, and minimalizing all of the amazing things that you did. Right? So then
Mm.
what happens? You grow up, you get older with that same standing on that same foundation, and you use that same mindset, that same mentality because you're still standing on that same foundation, and you use it in every area of your life. So I graduated from high school. Oh, okay, yeah, great. That was awesome. Okay, I get a little celebration. Da, 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 da. Oh, I graduate from college. Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's what I'm supposed to do. Right? Oh, I get a job or I start a business. Oh, yeah, that's, great. And then what happens? You fail. You don't pass a class. The customers don't come in as quickly. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's so devastating. Oh my God. And then, of course, because of the foundation that you stand upon, what lingers and what you hear more of and what you focus more of is all on the negatives because that has what has been ingrained in you. To balloon all of the negatives and only minimize or minimally celebrate the positives. So while it has been natural, it's not the way that it's supposed to be. The sad thing is that there is a world that has been built upon the same thing. Even when you think about what they call the negative news, right? There's so many amazing things and so many people out here doing amazing things, but because of the mindsets of people get engulfed in the drama, they get engulfed in all of the negative, right? Because there's a world that has stood on a foundation of highlighting everything negative instead of everything positive. So one thing that I have learned to shift my mindset, and even coming down to parenting, and even in my marriage, I highlight and I celebrate the great things, like on a whole great level, right? Even for myself, I always celebrate any accomplishment that I've had. This being on your show is a celebration to me, right? Why? Here's my perception. Hindsight is your baby. How do I know that this is your baby? You take pride in it. You have branded it. You have a t-shirt that has hindsight on it. You have a sign behind you that has hindsight on it. You take your show seriously. You've invested in the platform, right? That is building your brand. So you're not just going to bring anybody on here. That's my mindset. So I celebrate the fact that you have opened up something that is personal to you and has invited me in, right? I celebrate that. I don't minimize that. This is an amazing opportunity, not only for me, but for your show to be able to expand it on an even greater way, right?
Yes.
And in a greater form.
Yes.
So
Yes.
here's the thing. Everybody may not say yes, but I'm okay with those places and those people who say yes that I'm supposed to go to. And I celebrate that. So we have to get into the mindset of really what I like calling overdoing all of the positives, all of the accomplishments. I don't care if you made a sale. I don't care if one person bought a book. I don't care if one person shared something on social media. Celebrate that, because we have to learn to shift our way of thinking so that we're not going in a downward spiral.
I like it.
And to your point, and if you don't mind me saying this, to your point, as a consumer, I frequent this place to get protein shakes. And I'm one of those, like, I realize that people complain more than they compliment, right? So I don't care. Like, if my shake is good, I let them know that it's good. And I tell her, I said, I tell you that because I know people complain more than they compliment. And to your point, as a business owner, that's what she says. People complain a lot, but you don't hear all of the compliments, which is a sad thing, but a
Yeah.
true thing.
Yeah.
So,
You know what? I try to live in that spirit as well. I try. I don't do it all the time, obviously, but I just went the other day and to a place. That's a whole nother story. So anyway, both my cars like had problems at the exact same time. I took my dog out the car, battery wouldn't start. So I said, hey, I need you to come pick me up. In the other car battery didn't start. Man, it had a tire that needed to be replaced, blah, blah, blah. So I went to this car service place, and they were amazing. And you know, sometimes you go to these stores or these vendors, these businesses, and you get okay service, you get great service. So for me, when I see like great service, I tell you, I'm always looking towards perfection, not knowing that we're not going to get there. But they were as close to the perfected experience that I was looking for that I had to tell them. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
had to tell them, because if they were horrible, I'd have definitely told them. Then
right.
I'd have went on YouTube and I'd have told everybody I could, right? so
They were,
so I feel the same way. You know, when you see professional employees who are very conscious of the customer experience, I let them know, hey, you did a great job. And if I can find their boss, oh yeah, I'm gonna let them know.
uh,
This is a keeper. we may try to get this employee into our spot. So just keep
right.
that in mind. I think it is important.
It
I
is.
think it is important. I think it is important. And I know for me, and I'll shift it just a little bit,
Mhm.
because we're talking about self-sabotage now. We're talking about the mental, the the foundation of the negative versus the positive, right? For me, understanding that that's how I am,
Mhm.
the other side of it is I always look for things to make it better. So
Absolutely.
meaning, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. So meaning, like if I have a meet, and I always tell my team, look, when I say something to you, let's try to keep the emotion part of it out. And I'm gonna tell you right now, up front, it's only to get better. So when you hear me say something and it feels negative to you, and you have a, your natural whatever it is because of your, thank you for explaining this to me, your foundational upbringing, know that it's not that.
Mhm.
Know that it's not that. I have guys tell me, "Oh, I didn't want to tell you this because I thought I would get fired."
Ah,
Dude, I'm not trying to fire nobody unless you deserve it.
yeah.
That's a mistake. That wasn't a willing, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to even as I work on myself,
Mhm.
I try to work on them as well because I want to tell them what the intent is
And that's
of what
the
I'm saying. Go ahead.
opportunity that you have as a leader. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And I love
Yeah.
that you lead from that place because you're in a position to be able to shift other people's mindsets about themselves and how they should lead also.
Yeah.
Makes that a golden opportunity. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And I got some of that. Obviously, I was in the army for a few
Okay.
years, 20 plus. And,
Thank you for your
I
service.
had a lot of, thank you. I appreciate it. I had a lot of leaders, and you learn some good stuff and some bad stuff.
Mhm.
And, when you get behind the scenes and you really see the dynamics of people, right? Especially in leadership and in
Mhm.
following, in those roles, and you just pay attention to it, right? You be like, oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't want to come off that way, but I need to come off in strength.
Yeah.
But I also need to have compassion and empathy. I need you to see all of it and understand this is where I'm coming from. Right. And I think a lot of people miss that because they say either I got to be strong or they're only focused on themselves
Mhm.
or, whatever it is. And we all, I'm not saying I don't focus on myself at times. You have to. You got to take care of yourself. But at the same time, when you're dealing with a team, they gotta be all in. And
Yeah.
that's that army thing. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. One of the things that I've learned about, even in times where I don't like what people are saying about me, right? Because we
Yeah.
don't, we
Yeah.
all, I mean, here's the thing, and I'll just be
Mhm.
honest with me. I like when I hear the positive things. However, the negative is an opportunity. Why? It's an opportunity for me to see how I can improve myself. Because if all of I hear is that I am the most amazing person in the world, then where's the opportunity to improve myself? So even if I don't like what it is that you're saying, my position and stance is okay, where's the opportunity for me to learn? Where's the opportunity for me to grow? Where's an opportunity to refine what I already have to make it better? Because even for me, one of the areas that I'm constantly working on is my level of communication. And I always say, everybody is not me, right? So my position and stance and understanding that people are not me, it puts me in a place, a mental space of always making sure that in my delivery, I'm in a position of making sure that I explain in a way that people understand, they comprehend, and is not offensive. And even if it is a constructive criticism, that I position myself in a way that it is not defensive, even if you are offensive, that they don't become defensive as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. We are kindred spirits. I'm not even, it's like how you see the movies and someone else has took over somebody else's body, but it's done. Like all the words that you're saying, like I'm like, man, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you
Wow.
can look at criticism as just a criticism. You can look at a failure as a failure. But I've always learned that I learn most from the areas that I have been deficient than in the areas where I have been efficient. So in hindsight, We can go into the story. All right. Yeah, we're gonna go right into this story. So in 2012, my husband and I became homeless. So the doctor part comes from a doctorate of pharmacy. And we had a six-figure household doing very, very well. And it was literally an experience where I knew something was gonna happen. Like I just knew. I knew when I went to work, it just felt off, right? And she fired me. Fast forward, we became homeless, right?
Mm-hmm.
And literally to a place where my husband and I slept in our Infinity M35 while I was pregnant with our oldest son in the middle of the night. He stayed awake just to make sure that nobody robbed us or tried to kill us while I could get some sleep. And it was through that place that I've always been one that has focused on personal development because I understand that I can't lead others if I can't lead my own ship, right? That's in marriage, that's in motherhood, that's in business. So one of the way I work hardest on me than I do anything else because I understand that I'm at the core of every area of my life. So if I'm at my best, my marriage has the potential to be at its best, right? My position as a mother and my relationship with our children will be at its best. My finances, with everything will be, my business will be at its best when I am at my best. And I worked hardest on myself. And I realized that that was the key in my husband and I being able to transition from being homeless to being hopeful and ultimately buying another home. I mean, buying a home and starting all over.
Wow.
There was so many lessons. You can ask me whatever you want to about that. But that
Mm-hmm.
was a hindsight experience that I think about that I've learned so much from. And although it seemed like a pitfall, it ended up turning into a pain that ended up becoming a purpose.
Yeah. That was my question. That was my next question. I was vibing with you and we were talking, and that was the question that was in the queue
Really?
on there about that. I'm not even
That's
joking. So
hilarious.
yeah, no, that so I just had to go to the next one. But I do want to go back in hindsight, and I appreciate you bringing that up. We all go through stuff, and
Hmm.
that's an extremity, right? How long were you? It was just a few days.
We slept in a car overnight and we
Uh-huh.
literally didn't have a home of our own for that was 2012. Our son was born May 2014, so it was over a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. How did you? Okay, this one I want you to go into it as best you can.
Sure.
You knew it was coming. It felt bad. You slept in the vehicle. Like, how did that? How were you feeling in that moment
Which
when it was fresh? Were you feeling defeated? Were you feeling ashamed? Like what feelings? Because you talked about how you came out. You had purpose and you wanted to do better.
Mhm.
You know, personal development and things like that. But when it hit you that this
Mhm.
is happening, right? What did that feel like in that moment?
It was more of the question, how did I get in this place?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you ask those self, because I believe you ask, you shall receive. So in asking those questions, it just a swarm of opportunities that could have prevented it went through my mind. So I think I went through a place of shame because I had never been homeless before. And then having a doctorate degree just made it even more so because I'm going like I'm in a place where I shouldn't even be in this place. Like that was literally my mindset. And I'm like, dog, like, wow. But one thing about me, and this has been my stance, and this is something I continue to stand on. I can't complain about something I'm not willing to change. And I literally could see myself because I've been one, even before becoming homeless, I worked hard on myself. So I realized that I had a choice. I could stay there and complain about it, and the probability of us staying there longer would increase. Or I could figure out literally, this is what I said to myself, and this was 2012. So fast forward, he's the president. But he was someone that I studied in terms of wealth and money. And reading up on the now President Donald Trump, I understood that he filed bankruptcy a few times, right? And I said to myself, I said, okay, clearly I didn't file bankruptcy. Clearly, this was literally me talking to myself. I was like, okay, JaNee, now if he could file bankruptcy few times and bounce back. Surely this is not bad. Like y'all can figure this out and get out of this. Right. And so I saw an opportunity and I literally, again, trying to figure out, okay, he's no different than me in terms of just being a person. So what separated me from Donald Trump other than the obvious color? It's just mindset. And I couldn't afford to go buy a book, but I made my way to the nearest library and got a free library card and I checked out a book often. That was my safety net because I knew where we were physically. And if I focused on this is not my house or this is not my environment or I don't like it here, it was just going to make me depressed. Right. So I said, I have to really engulf myself and create an environment that's going to shift my external environment. So I checked out every book. I checked out Joyce Meyer. I was checking out TD I checked out every personal development book. I literally, because they give you about 10 days to read the book. So I had like something to propel me. I said, okay, let me get done with this book. I went back and read another book and read another book and read another book and read another book. And then the funny thing is, I said, you know what? I was homeless, but I went and volunteered because I've always loved empowering people.
Yeah.
So I went and volunteered. These people didn't know I'm homeless, but I went to go encourage them. And guess what? I was talking to myself. They were in the room, but I was encouraging I was encouraging myself. So, to be honest, to answer your question, because I went on a whole tangent, but to
That's
answer your
good. I love it.
question, I went from shame to like disappointment in myself to like figuring out, okay, no, we ain't gonna stay here.
Mm,
So to
yeah.
be honest, I mean, look, I felt the way I felt, but I was determined I wasn't gonna stay here.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. Because some things are not, but many things are just a moment in time.
Absolutely.
And you'll weather it, right? But what you got to do is not wallow in it. And your example, your story is exactly what needs to happen. You need to figure out, okay, and to my point, this is where I'm at. I don't want to be here. How do I get there?
That part.
And that's the hard part at times because we make it hard,
Mm,
right? We
that's
make it hard because most of that, a good 50%, what the GI Joe, 50% is knowing. Half the battle is knowing, right? The other half is doing. So that mindset shift has to happen. It,
absolutely.
it has to happen. I always say this is one thing. I always say you can tell who's going to survive a zombie attack. They're going to survive the longest. Obviously, if you're not in a major city, because then that's just luck of the draw. But the ones who can shift their mindset
Mm.
the quickest, because life comes at you fast. It's not always going to be like it is right now. When it hits, it's hitting. I use the term grit. Get ready, it's time.
Oh, I like
So
that.
you practice all of these things. You strengthen. You was reading books. You were getting fulfilled with these things. So when something happens, get ready, it's time. I'm ready mentally
I
to
like
deal with this. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, yeah. It's
So
a constant thing, and that's what people don't. Sometimes people really don't realize. I always say one of the greatest tricks of the enemy is to isolate people,
mm,
because if you can be isolated, then your whole mindset can be jacked up, for the lack of a better word, right?
yes.
Because nobody gets to the top by themselves, right? People say, "Oh, they're self-made millionaires," or so. No, the reality of it is that they stand upon the shoulders of somebody's wisdom that poured into them in some capacity, directly or indirectly, right? You can't be successful as a leader in your business if you don't have a team of people to help you to implement the very idea that you have. We need community. And the great thing, and I'll still, I don't work at your place of business, but I understand that the only way that you're going to even the way that you even continue to maintain a team is that you pour into your team in some capacity.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the more you pour into them, the more they're going to go and do an amazing work for you, right? Because they're doing it for themselves as well. So we have to surround ourselves with the right things and the right people so that we have the strength to stand, that we have the strength to endure, that we have the strength to persevere, that we have the strength to be resilient. A lot of times strength is misguided. It's feeling like I can do it by myself and I can cover my emotions. That ain't strength. There's strength and vulnerability in being
Whew.
honest about where you are, right? There's strength in acknowledging that I can't do this by myself because I wasn't equipped to do it by myself.
Mm. I'm smiling and thinking all these things because I was going to say something and you said so. I had a boss, a prior boss, former boss, and he would say, "Don't drown alone." Right. And it kind of touches on that stuff. Oh, I can do it. I can figure this out. I can make this happen. Dude, you got a team.
Mm,
You got a team. Now you don't need to be leaning on them all the time, right? You need to have your own strength. But at the same time, don't drown alone. Don't go down with the ship. Raise your hand. I always tell people, see something, say something. Feel something, say
exactly.
something. Let me know. Let's go through this together. You don't have to figure everything out on your own.
Absolutely.
So a part of that, you can't succeed without a good team. You can easily fail if you isolate yourself. And you talked about the enemy isolating you. Enemy
Mm,
doesn't have to be anything bad. It can be situations. It can be your own self. You're your own worst enemy. You heard that term before, right? And that applies in a lot of situations. So just pride, ego. I'm
mhm.
not going to ask because if I ask, then I'm giving them power. No, you're not. You're giving y'all power. So, anywho, I'm on a tangent now. But you say these, I appreciate this conversation because a lot of the things they really resonate
Mhm.
with things that I experience, things that I feel as well. And it's a working day to day, day by day, working toward your future you. And I'm gonna bring that back to that as well, right? All right, so let's get off of that one real quick because now we want to help some people. I believe I always got to say that many people feel like they were meant for more but don't know how to access it. What was your awakening moment that pushed you towards coaching and transformational speaking?
Oh, wow. Um, I shared this earlier that I've always been one that has loved to empower people, encourage people. I was the friend that people, and still am, that people come to and share certain things with, right? And one of the things that always excites me is identifying a solution to the problem, right? Because I just believe that each and every one of us are solutionists in our own right and capacity and purpose. And one of the things that I did. I didn't even know what a coach was until I had a friend of mine who started talking about it, and she was talking about it, and I was like, maybe I need to hire a coach. Maybe I need to invest in a coach. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like the beginning of the evolution of Coach JaNee. So I literally invested in a coach, and as she was working with me, I was like, I do the same thing. Like as she was helping me, because she was really helping me, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I didn't realize that people get paid for this. This was some years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, after our session was done and our time was done, I started to just kind of pick her brain. And I realized I was like, this is me all day long. And the speaking ended up becoming a part of it because I always loved to speak individually. And the crazy thing is, in high school, I was afraid to speak in front of massive amounts of people. But, and you podcast, really?
I'm
I
dead. I'm dead serious.
really?
It took some coaching
Really?
coaxing myself to do the video podcast because
Really?
I started off. I'm like, I want to do a podcast, but I said, let me do audio because
You
I
could.
won't look good on camera. I don't know how to do this. I don't, all these different things, that foundational stuff that you talked about, right? That were holding me back. And I had so many people saying, hey, just do it. Nike summed it up perfectly. Just do it. You know, what's the worst that can happen? Stop thinking all the negative. We talked about that earlier. What's the positive that can come from it? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm sure you got a lot of positives from it, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like this conversation right here is a positive
Mm.
for sure.
Oh, great. So I went through the process and ended up started in the perfect thing for me was working with my first client. And when I realized the results that I got from her as a legitimized business owner, and I said, I love this. And the part that I loved most was the effect that my gift had. And I was like, I could do this any day. Just like even sitting here speaking, I could do this any day. Like, I love this. Love, love, love it. Podcast level, stage level. I love podcasts because it's, very, very interactional. But yeah, so it was just me being exposed to what the opportunity was and then making a decision from there and taking action on it.
I like it. You often say you were created on purpose for a purpose. How did you come to believe that for yourself?
I am a believer at heart. And my belief, even in growing up as a child, I always knew, how like people would like dream, like kids have these huge, big dreams. And for me, as I got older, I still kept dreaming. So it wasn't like it was something to this thing. And even as I started accomplishing, even when I went to pharmacy school and graduated from pharmacy school, I still felt that there was more. Like there was always more. And even through my relationship with God, I understand that we're built for a purpose, like each and every one of us. Again, you can't get to the top, you can't ascend alone at all. Even for those who go mountain climbing and hiking by themselves, there are tools and equipment that they must have in order to maintain their safety. If nothing else, you got to have the right shoes. Guess what? Somebody made those shoes. Somebody had the idea for the equipment, right? So we all need each other, right? And that means each and every one of us have something and are equipped to do something that the other person has not been able and equipped to do. So that helps me to understand that we were all built for a purpose to contribute to each other and also to contribute to this earth and our own efforts in with an effort to elevate each other.
Mm. I got a funny story. It's not even a
What's that?
story. It's not even a story. You talk about dream when you was young. When I was young, I had dreams of being a wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then I remember, like, because I was pretty okay, playing football. But I remember one day, and we used to play, because I'm from Maryland, Baltimore. We used to play, no tackle football, no equipment, all this stuff during the summertime. And the guy, he threw this beautiful pass, and I was going out to catch it. But what I did was I looked up and I saw the ball, and then I looked this way and I saw the defender coming right at me. I looked back at the ball and I said, this is going to be close. And I looked back at the defender and I said, yeah, this is going to be close. And I said, all right, if I'm going to be a wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I got to just focus on this ball, put this out of my head, this guy is barreling down on me, and catch this ball and be successful. I got to put all this out of my head. So I stopped looking at this guy and I just focused on the ball. And I tell you what, JaNee, as soon as that football hit my fingertips, this guy lit me up.
Because he had a job. He had a purpose, and so did you. Your purpose was to catch that ball, and his purpose was to keep you from running
Oh,
to the end zone.
it hit the tip of my fingertips. The next thing I know, the back of my neck was hitting the goddamn ground. So anyway, I didn't become a Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver. But I learned that day that I could focus on what my job was. He just did his a little better. So, yeah. And I still dream. Of getting books and stuff like that. And I think just, keeping that creativity, not getting complacent, not believing that this is reality. This moment is all there is, right? Not getting stuck in the past. I know this is called hindsight, but the whole purpose of hindsight is to look at the past see where you are based on your past choices and past decisions. Are you where you want to be right now? Oh, no. Oh, yes, whatever. Let's continue to make these type of choices, or let's shift our mindset so that we can get to where we want to go. So that's the whole point of my hindsight. People always say, well, you can't live in the past. Yeah, but you can learn. You can learn from the past, and your future self hopefully will thank you for you taking the time out to figure out who you are, looking at your past decisions, looking at these things, and then creating a path for you to get to you in the future. So I love it. When I was young, I really felt, you know, like there was more, like I should be doing more. And I think everyone does. I think it's kind of common. And I was like, shoot, am I supposed to be a preacher? Because well, I don't want to talk about him, but anyway, my stepdad at the time was a preacher. We were in church a lot. You look at the respect that you get from the congregation, from preachers and stuff like that. And I knew I had thoughts, I had feelings, I had things that I wanted to share, but I was shy. I told you that a little bit without saying it. I was shy. So I eluded that. Maybe that was my purpose. I don't think so, but potentially. With all of that, I just said, like right now, I joined the Army. I got out, transitioned. Now I work in corporate or whatever you want to call it. All based on faith. Not always a great faith guy, but now I want to shift all of my highlights, failures, condensed to you. Okay. How has your faith shaped not only your journey, your personal journey, and now let's get into what you're doing right now, but also the way you coach and lead others? You talked about your kids, you talked about some of your clients. How has your faith helped that journey? And then what are yours that you're doing today?
My faith has shaped it.
Yeah.
And when I say shape it, it is literally the words that help form my ability to be JaNee, the woman, JaNee, the daughter, the JaNee wife, JaNee mom, JaNee entrepreneur, and coach to women. And it's literally the position and the foundation as to which I stand on and am rooted in. So, what does that mean? So, when I look at a plant, when a seed is planted into the ground, the very expectation of the seed that has been planted is actually the one that will end up producing and growing. So, and that plant has been based upon the seed that was sown. So the seed of the word of God is always something that I keep in mind, that everything that I produce should be the result of how I treat myself, how I treat people. It all should be rooted from that seed, right? It is in the way that I operate now. Is it perfection? No, because I understand that I can't be perfect myself, but I strive for progress. I remember at the beginning, you were talking about perfection. And one of the things that I know that stops a lot of people is that they're always seeking perfection. Now, I believe we should have a goal and a focus, but your goal should not be perfection. It should be progress. Because if you're always seeking to be perfect without the understanding that you need progress, when you fall short, you're going to self sabotage 9 times out of 10. Right. And that is because I know, and I can say that because I understand that the seed of the word of God in me reminds me that I'm not the one who's going to perfect JaNee. God is. And that is only if I stay rooted in him. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Because I see obviously, we talked about this earlier as well. We keep saying it. It's hindsight, so we can keep saying, we talked about this earlier. How you, because I do the same thing. I think specifically you're talking about communication and were you effective in that communication at the time? And I try to look and see where I can get better.
Absolutely.
right? And it's not anything that keeps you stagnant and afraid to grow. I think it's more of a catalyst to grow. How can I do this better? How could I have asked JaNee that question better? Because I don't think she got what I asked. And obviously, you got
Mhm.
everything that I've asked, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do that pretty constantly.
And that's great.
Because, like I said, it's always, and I tell my team, I keep it simple. It's all about just getting better. You know, is and everything else will fall into place if you have the mindset to just get a little better, take that next step. Right? You can go a long way. You can be close to perfect in
Absolutely.
certain things. So,
Absolutely. Because even when working with clients, when I understand that that becomes a roadblock and they're seeking perfection, no. Let's see how you have already progressed. Because here, going back to what we were saying earlier, is that people focus on that what's not going right or what didn't go right and totally forget, oh, this did go right. Oh, this did work. Right? Because even I don't care whether it's your health, and even when we think about business, if it worked, you want to continue to do more of what's working. So in the area of business, you want to make sure that you focus on or identify what's working, all of the things that are positive so that you can do more of the things that are working, right? But again, with people, they focus on the negative without looking at and seeking the opportunity. Because if you don't see the opportunity, you'll miss the opportunity to figure out how you can refine, in the case of your business, your systems, right? Your level of communication with your clients and your customers, and the way that you interact with those of you all who have a team.
how do you this is a question. You said something. I'm not going to say it again. How do you, all right, so I'll give you context.
Okay.
Being thick skinned,
Hmm.
being able to take feedback, I
Hmm.
guess, it can be hard.
Oh, yeah.
I still remember this a couple years ago. This guy, where I work at now. So I deal with salespeople and I provide a service
Okay.
to the salespeople.
Okay.
And I heard through somebody else that one of the salespeople was like, I don't know why I call Lee. He's useless. And at the time, it kind of hurt, right? And I was like, God dang, that's horrible. Useless? Right. But I had to go into the mirror. I had to
Mm,
figure out why am I useless? Because typically I try to find a path forward, considering precedents,
hmm.
considering the overall result of whatever decision that I make. And without going too far into it, I didn't give this person what they needed, but I still stay true to myself. So it's all good. But I wanted to figure out how to connect
Hmm.
and let everyone know, and you can't let everyone know, but at least let that person know that I
Yeah.
have everyone's best interest at heart
Hmm.
when I come with my decisions, right? So I had to think about that. And I think it's important. I bring this up because I think it's really important for you to be able to take criticism and not just be like, oh, I can't stand that person because they criticize me. There's a reason, justified or not justified, that that person felt that way at that time about me. And I had to figure out what that was
Hmm.
instead of getting on the defensive, about the whole thing with that person. So, what do you think is, how important do you think it is? And I think I gave a good example, but from your perspective, just to have tough skin, to be able to absorb some of that and to go within yourself and figure out what it is that I did right or wrong. Because you could have been absolutely right in this whole situation and they're just a jerk. Right. But what do you think about that?
Um, I always go back to, because it does hurt. I know when people have given me, criticism or said things to me that I did not like, it didn't feel good. But to your point, I had to go back and ask myself, why did they feel like that? Or even go to the person and have the conversation to get an understanding as
That's a
to
good point.
why they said what they said. Because a lot of the time, sometimes in the way that people receive stuff wasn't the way that I intended to deliver it.
Mhm.
So even if I was in fact wrong in my delivery, there was an opportunity for me to figure out how to correct it in my communication or my stance in my communication.
Yeah.
Right? Again, it goes back to the opportunity of identifying how I can be better. Either how I can be better in my delivery or even better in my receiving what they said about me and then course correcting from there. But if we stay in a place of offense, then you leave no room for growth and progress and you remain stagnant. Is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. Appreciate that. And in full disclosure, the person said it to somebody else who said it to me in confidence. So I really couldn't go to the person and be like, well, why'd you say I'm worthless, dude? Like, that's messed up. So I just had to just reflect, learn, and
Mhm.
just move forward. So, all right, what would you say to someone who feels unworthy of success even when opportunity is right in front of them?
One of the things that first comes to mind, the opportunity would not come 9 times out of 10 if you weren't capable of delivering what it is that is being asked of you. And what I mean by that is, let's say you receive an invitation of an opportunity to do whatever a job is or whatever it is, right? And you're the one who's called to do it only in the way that you have been doing it, talking about purpose, right? If you don't take and embrace the opportunity, you neglect someone from obtaining the transformation that only you provide. And a lot of the times, the transformation that you provide has been through your experiences that you think are so horrible and that are actually putting you down, that are actually preventing you from embracing this opportunity. So you have to shift the way that you see one yourself. Because if you see yourself from your mistakes, guess what? You'll never leave your current level. Never.
Yeah. Think about that. Let that sit in. Let that marinate.
The way you respond as if that was pretty heavy.
No, it is. It really is a message, because we get stuck.
Yeah.
We get stuck in all types of stuff. And, just understanding, like, it's just a moment in time. You got to keep moving. You got to be resilient. You got to be
Absolutely.
flexible and agile and all these buzzwords that they have in business, right? But those are real words that you need to be to, at least if you want to continue to grow in life. Maybe sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're really content with where you're at. Some people have dealt with a lot and they got to a good spot and they're like, this is where I'm going to stay. I've been through a lot and I get it. I understand that, but if you want to continue to grow, right, you can't stay stagnant. You got to take all these opportunities. A message from this conversation here, a message from an interaction that you see when you're out in the grocery store from two people. All these things help us grow. You know, I remember I used to tell people, I went to Iraq to war, and thankfully I wasn't hurt, impacted physically in any kind of way while I was there. But it was an experience. When I joined the Army, my first duty station was in Alaska, and I could have been like, what the? But I went to it with an open mind because it was an experience. I was from Maryland. This was in the 90s. So first thing I want to do was I need a job other than this. You know what I mean? There was no Indeed and all of that, right? There was no internet when I was in the Army. So, but I went in with an open mind. I went in, here's an experience, you know, and you learn from it. You learn
Mm.
beautiful things. I learned this is different. When I went to Japan, oh Lord, they are just like us. They just look a little different. But until that time, until I had that experience, I thought they were Japanese, we're Americans. There is a distinct difference. And whatever was on TV or media is who they were,
Mm.
right? Treasure those experiences. You don't have to go out the country. You can go to the grocery store. You can go to them all and just immerse yourself in the experiences that are there
Absolutely.
and learn from them. Don't be so closed-minded. Anyway, you know, that's in the interest of time, because I don't want to waste your time. Not waste it, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. I think we're over the limit now. But I'm going to keep asking you questions, because 40 days to a better you sounds like a powerful commitment. What inspired the book, and what kind of transformation do you hope your readers will experience from it?
And what inspired the book is literally when we transitioned out of becoming homeless. And I was like, okay, we're back into our own place now. And I was like, you know what? A lot of times people feel like they have to have that one big thing in order to become successful or just better. And I find that it's not just the one big thing, it's the many things that you do over time that get you that result, that slight edge, which is a phenomenal book if you all, and Compound Effect if you all have never read those two books. Great reads. And I was inspired. I said, you know what? I'm gonna write a book for somebody who really doesn't like to read and give them short tips on how they can become better. And when my our son was an infant, when he fell asleep, his mama got to writing. And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. So my goal is for anyone who just desires to be better in every area of their life to be able to use those 40 tips. And they're simple, because I'm a very simple coach. And working with my clients, I don't care how challenging the situation is, we're going to get down to the simplicity of it and identify a solution. And I said, you know what? My goal is that they take these simple tips and implement them over time to make themselves better.
I like it. All right, speaking of tips, I'm going to give you an opportunity to give us some tips right now.
Okay.
You ready?
Oh, okay.
I know you are. What are some what are some daily practices or mindset shifts that can help people start dismantling self-sabotaging behavior?
Your belief system. So one thing that I'll say is this a lot, and I'll say this because I don't want people to ever feel, because I think there's a misconception that it's an overnight process. It's an overnight thing. It's a get transformed quick. Transformation takes time, right? Even for someone who's getting prepared to be on a TV show or a movie, if you're getting makeup and all of the things, that's a process, right? And it takes a while. It takes even longer to better yourself. So the first thing is you have to identify, like one of the practices that I have is I love reading, right? And one of the first things that I do before I get out of the bed when I wake up in the morning is I read a scripture. It is not a whole passage at that moment, but I feed myself the word of God, because I have to have something positive go into me, because I can't control the external. I can't control what people are going to say out there, who's going to honk at me when I'm going down the street or something like that, or how people are going to act. But I got to work on me. So I got to make sure I'm prepared for it. So I feed myself the word of God, and I read 10 pages of a good book a day. So right now I read 10x is better than 2x, a phenomenal book. I mean, great book, like great read. And I
Write this
work,
down.
those are the things that I do. I'm not going to tell you what you can do. I'm telling you what works for me. And what these things do is literally helping me to shift my way of thinking. All mindset is the positioning of your belief system and what you know to be true. And the only difference between you and someone who is successful is their way of thinking and your way of thinking. And if you want your way of thinking, if you want your external to be different, you got to change positions in your way of thinking. That's it. And that's something that you have to work on. It's like literally that seed with that example of the seed in the plant. The plant is not going to burst out of the seed and show a full-on tree or flower the next day. It has to be watered. It has to be put into the right environment. You are likened to that seed, my friends. You have to make sure you put yourself in the right physical environments, right? And you have to make sure that you water yourself, hydrate yourself with life. So those are things that I do. And I'm very like cautious about what I watch on social media. You know how, like, let me tell y'all a quick trick. Can I tell y'all a quick trick?
Tell us.
Okay. So if you all notice, if you ever watch a reel or a short, it automatically transitions to the next reel or short. The thing is, if you've ever noticed that regardless beyond your control, once it gets to the end of that reel or short, it goes to another one. Be careful and don't watch whatever the next one is. Why? Because the algorithm is going to show you more of what it is that you're watching. So if it gets to something negative, guess what? It's going to show you more of the negative.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
cautious about what I watch. I'm cautious about what I scroll through. I'm cautious about who I'm friends with and what I watch on social media because I know they're going to show me more of that crap. So that's ways that I filter the negativity in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a technical term too, by the way. Crap.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that you guys know that we went right to the source.
Listen,
And it is in fact crap.
it
So
is. It
some good
is.
stuff out there too. But if
Yes.
you land in the crap heap, you're gonna stay in the crap heap.
Nope.
So
And it takes a while to get your algorithms right before
yeah.
they showing you crap.
Hey, so as someone who's gone through some major identity shifts, what would you say to a service member who's transitioning to civilian life and feeling lost or undervalued in this new world?
Mm. Wow. You want my honest truth?
Yeah, absolutely.
My honest truth is because, and let this be known, I've never served in the military, so I can't speak as that person.
Okay.
But one thing that, and I can only imagine, and I'm sure you could speak to this, is that your identity does or can change. Let me say this can change if you're not careful, and it can change drastically if you're not in control. So then you have to ask yourself this question: who am I? That is the biggest question. I don't care where you're transitioning in your life, even as a service member. Who am I? Because regardless of what was told to you, who you are and what you have been taught could be two totally different things. And the amazingness of asking the question of who am I? What happens when you ask a question? You get a what? An
Hopefully.
answer.
See, hopefully an answer.
You will get
Especially
an
if you're
answer.
asking yourself.
So either you're going to get the answer directly or indirectly.
Mm,
But you got to be sensitive to the question that you ask because you're going to get clues to what the answer actually is. So even if you lost yourself in the military or being a service member, you're trying to figure out, how do I fit into this world now? Who am I? Who am I? And look for the answers. And here's the other thing: be vulnerable enough to yield
right.
into what that looks like.
Vulnerability. Yeah, that's great advice. That's great advice for anybody, obviously. Um, Military for sure. You built up to be super tough,
Mhm.
success focused. Nothing can stop you. But we also have clear directions, and when you get out of that type of environment, it's confusing. You start looking around like, where's the direction? How am I going to survive in this environment? All right, who am I? Am I a quitter? Am I this? Who am I to feel this way? So that's good. I like it. I told you I'm writing a book on that too. 30 days to figure out who you are. Um, hey, what legacy do you hope to leave through your work, your voice, your book? What legacy do you hope to leave?
Oh gosh.
That's a great
Um,
question.
my prayer is that I leave a legacy of one that is vulnerable. Because I believe that people feel like they have to be either this perfect person or what the world has named the strong person
Yeah.
without leaving room for being vulnerable. And this is where anxiety and depression and mental illness gets to fit in. Because I always believe what you don't face will end up facing you. One of my legacies is that my desire is to leave a legacy of wealth, a legacy of a wealth of information, and a legacy of wealth as it pertains to money. Because I don't want our children to just have money. I want them to know how to take what they have been left and multiply it. I want my legacy to be a legacy of belief in a relationship with God, not because mama said, but because of your own experience as to what the benefits are to that. And I can go on and on and on. But
Yeah, no, those are great answers. those are great. Those are great answers, and I appreciate you sharing that. That's a difficult question. It takes some thought, and you
yeah,
like, oh no, faith. I want to leave that. I want to leave because ultimately, you see, I'm not going to get into that one. But ultimately, I love the fact that you said a wealth of knowledge and a financial wealth as well, because you can have all kind of money and just squander it, right, and create problems just because you don't have that knowledge about what to do with it. You're just
absolutely.
like, oh, I got a whole lot of this. Let me go and do things
Ben,
with no purpose. So I like it. All right, JaNee, is there anything that we didn't touch on that you feel led to share right
I'll share this. We shared a whole, between the both of us, we said a whole lot. But I'll say this: identify the one thing that either one of us said, not a list of things, not two things, not three things, not 10 things. One thing that either one of us said, and figure out how you can apply that to your life. Because the goal is, as I'm sure, that this podcast will impact your life. But you don't want to be an information hoarder. You want to be an implementer to make yourself better. And the only way that you'll be able to do that is to believe that you can and to actually do the work. So identify the one thing and implement the one thing.
So beautiful, so insightful, and so to the point. You are absolutely what you say you are. I like it. So, how can the listeners connect with you, grab a copy of your book, or learn more about Success and Wealth Institute?
Well, I am on 3. I have to think about, see, I love that number 3. So YouTube, Facebook, as well as Instagram. And the way that you can get access to my book is, and I'm sure they'll be in the show notes, but it's drjanee.net/40 days.
Like it. All right. All right. Hey, Dr. JaNee Mobley. I say that right? Is it Mobley? I want to say Mobley so bad. But you reminded us today that greatness isn't something we chase. It's something that we have to unlock within ourselves. From homelessness to building a life rooted in purpose and prosperity, your journey proves that overcoming self-sabotage starts with knowing you were created on purpose and for a purpose. And Dr. JaNee, thank you. You see how I slur it? Because I'm from Baltimore, right? So I try to speak. I try to, say my words. But if I'm uncomfortable with a word, I just say it real fast. Dr. JaNee, JaNee. I'm being vulnerable. I'm letting you guys know what I'll be doing. And you can take these tricks so you can learn not to do it, right? That's the point. But thank you for showing us what it looks like to lead boldly, to live intentionally, and love unapologetically.
Thank you for having me, and you're welcome. Look, I didn't want to cut you off. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate you for having me. It has been definitely a blessing to be able to add.
I love it. And to the listeners or the watchers, if this episode stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. All right. And subscribe to Hindsight the podcast. Share it with someone who needs it. And remember, your past doesn't define you, your perspective does. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for joining me here on Hindsight the podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. And while I have you here, why don't you take your mouse, go over and click on that subscribe button. No, not right there. Over to the right. No, down, right there. Boom. Thank you. Now, Thank you for subscribing to Hindsight the podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones.